There are two shots I'm going to show you for hole 1. The first shot being with a Power 1 wind ball. You're going to use 2 backspin, and then you're going to line up your shot to the hole, where your second bounce is going to be just past the fringe onto the green. You don't want it to be on the fringe because it'll kick your ball guide to the left. So have it just after the fringe and your ball guide going to the hole. Then you're going to adjust 15% min distance of your club. That's 15% at min distance of your club. And then you're going to use a little bit of curl where your outside of your ball is just going to be halfway into the little circle there. So don't forget the curl because it is necessary for this shot. For the second shot is the Kingmaker shot. This shot is being done at min distance with a 20% over adjustment. This shot, you must make sure the Goliath or B52 is in your bag because other clubs are messing with the shot for some reason. You're going to be looking at the right hand rough, and you're going to make sure there's just a sliver of rough showing with after the white ring. So if you pause it and take a snapshot, you'll see his setup. You're going to use 4 backspin, 2 left spin, and then adjust 20% min distance of your club. For hole 2, I'm going to show you 2 options, one going to the left and one going to the right. Here we are going to the left. You can use an APOC, extra mile, whichever club you would like. You can even use a Thor's hammer. You're going to use max top spin, 1 bar of right spin, and then you're going to adjust 10% over adjustment and then push up to max. You might need to use a little tiny bit of overpower if you have a straight crosswind and you pull into overpower. So if you don't pull into overpower, you do not need to use it. So use your judgment on how you want to get over on this shot. For the second shot, the only consistency with this is that it's a 5% adjustment on your elevation, so a plus 5% elevation. Your slider is going to be dependent on you because it depends on where on the fairway that you are. So at 387, this played at 60% slider. Now you can hit 387 too, but be at a different point on the fairway, and it might play 70% and it might play 50%. It all depends on where on the fairway you are. So use your judgment on your slider, and it is a 5% over adjustment. For this shot, we are using the quarterback layup method. We were trying the Hornet shot, and it was so inconsistent that we decided to do the layup shot. Here you're going to be using your quarterback with 3 top spin, 1 to 2 bars of right spin, and then adjust with a 10% over adjustment at max distance. Use a tiny bit of baby curl as well, where your outside of your ball is just touching the inside of the ring. What we're trying to do is get into min Goliath range, and we know if we hit 352 or below that we are in min Goliath range. If you go over 352, you will have to use your Hornet. So pack your Hornet just in case so that you have enough top spin to get in there. So here he played at 10% Goliath on the slider with a 10% over adjustment. So this shot is a 10% over adjustment, but at 348, it is at a 10% slider. For hole 3, we are going on the bounce over method. If you do not have a club that can bounce over, you will have to lay up at the edge of the fairway and then use your cat or big dog to bounce on the pad on the right hand side up top there. You will have to do the bounce over shot. But the clubs that can make it are the APOC 5 and above, the Thor 6 can make it, and the EM 9 can make it. EM 8 and Thor 5 is a butt pucker shot, and you must hit perfect in order to make it. So here we are using a 10% over adjustment with our Zerk, max top spin, a couple bars of left spin, and then you're going to use full overpower, and you're going to try and hit perfect. From here we get into min sniper range, and it will be a 10% over adjustment on your shot. You're going to use all backspin except for a sliver, and then you're going to do a sliver of right spin. And then you are going to aim just to the right hand side of the hole, and then you're going to adjust at your slider of your club at 10% over adjustment. So here I think he did min distance plus 0.3 with a 10% over adjustment. If you have to do the bounce over shot on the pad just before this fairway, then it will be a minus 10% adjustment with your cat or big dog. So if you have to do the bounce over method, it will be a minus 10% adjustment. Hole 4 is going to be a tricky hole, and throughout all our shots we have come up with the conclusion that you should actually keep the power 2 option in your app and do it at 25% mid distance of your club. Here we did a power 3 wind ball, and he did 25% mid distance. And the wind angle is, there's 3 different wind angles. There's one going left to right, there's one going right to left, and one going straight. So you're really going to have to pay attention to the wind angle and where you are aiming. We haven't completely figured out all the wind angles and where to aim yet, but we do know it's 25% mid distance of your club, and we suggest that you actually keep the power 2 option in your app for all wind angles. The most consistent thing about this hole is that you will be using 3 backspin for this shot. Now, if the wind is a right to left wind, we suggest doing 1 left spin. And if you keep missing right, we also suggest using 1 left spin while you are aiming to the left edge of the hole, and then adjusting at 25% mid distance of your club. For hole 5, we are looking for a consistent drive. The way you're going to get that consistent drive is either using APOC or your extra mile. Here we are using 4 top spin with about 6 right spin. You're going to be aiming just to the edge of the rough there, and then you're going to adjust with a 10% over adjustment. If you're using an extra mile 8, you could probably try 5 top spin, because since the extra mile 8 isn't as long as an APOC. So try 5 to 5.5 top spin and see if that gets you at the consistent yard that we're looking for, is around 350. We know at 351 that the slider plays at 30%, so I went at 352, I played it at 28%. We're going to use no spin. You're going to aim your ball at the hole, and then you're going to use your slider plus 15% elevation. So that's plus 15% elevation. Here I played it at 28% slider with a 15% over adjustment, no spin to the hole. Here we are using the layup method on hole 6. With your APOC, you're going to start at the +3 yard mark, and then you're going to use max right spin with 2.5 top spin. If you would like to push it, you can push 3, but I like to stay safe and use 2.5 top spin. Again, you're going to start at the +3 yard mark, and then you're going to adjust your shot at max distance with a 20% over adjustment. For your second shot, you're going to use your big dog or your kata. You're going to use as much full top spin as you can with as much left spin as you can. You want your second bounce to be just before the edge of the rough, and then you're going to adjust at max distance with a 30% over adjustment. 30% over adjustment. And then I always do a little tiny bit of curl to the right just to make sure that I stay away from that sand bunker, because I have gone into the sand bunker when I played it at 20%. So again, it's a 30% over adjustment at maximum distance of your club. Here we are just trying to take our eagle and run. There are 3 shots that you can use for hole 7. The first one, I'm going to show you the short iron method. You're going to use about 5 bars of top spin with 4 to 5 bars of left spin, and you're going to adjust with a 5% over adjustment on this shot, where she is aiming with the blue ring just inside the rough. So she did a 5% over adjustment on her shot, and then did a little bit of curl to get yourself over the rough and away from the right hand rough. From here, she played the slider of her club with a -10% adjustment. So it plays uphill -10%. She used 3 backspin and about 1 and a click left spin, and she is offsetting to the left side of the hole. Now make sure it's the left edge of the hole and not all the way completely left of the hole, or it could miss. So again, this plays at a -10% elevation. On this second shot, we're going to show you the rough bump shot, and you're kind of trying to lay up just a tad, so use about 4 top spin with max left spin, and he adjusted with a 10% over adjustment, and he played a little bit further off of the rough than we did previously. So here he played with a 10% over adjustment with your blue ring off the rough. This second shot is done with the Hornet or the Falcon, and it's going to play at -20% elevation at the slider of your club. You're going to use all the top spin that you can or need to get to the hole, and less spin as well getting to the hole. But this shot plays at your slider of your club with a -20% elevation. The final shot that I'm going to show you on hole 7 is the send it method. Basically, you are going to be using a Zerk or a globe. You want your wind to be 10 miles an hour or greater with 6 topspin and max right spin. You're basically going to aim at the bush with your yellow just kind of peeking out, and then you are going to use about a half a ball of curl, full overpower, and try to hit perfect. For hole 8, I have different balls that I'm going to be showing you. All of them play 1-to-1, 1 wind per ring, and all of them play with 1 top spin and 1 left spin, and all of them play with the red ring just off the top of the rough. So you want to leave a little gap on the rough line. You're going to aim with a kingmaker, you're going to aim to the right of the cup, basically right edge, but more so to the right of the cup instead of right edge. All other balls will be doing right edge of the cup. Here we have a power 3 wind 5 ball, and again you're going to play it 1-to-1, 1 wind per ring with 1 top and 1 left, and you're going to aim it at the right edge of the cup. Here I'm using a power 3 with a wind 4 ball, and again it plays 1-to-1, 1 wind per ring with 1 top and 1 left, and you will aim at the right edge of the cup. Last but not least, this can be used with a power 2 wind 5 ball as well, or a wind 4 ball, up to you, but it does work with a power 2 ball as well. It's going to be 1 wind per ring, and you're going to be aiming at the right edge of the cup again with your red ring just off the rough, and adjust 1-to-1. For hole 9, we're going to be bouncing over. With an APOC 5 or greater, you're going to be using max right spin with 2 top spin, and then using no overpower. If your wind is below 10 miles an hour, use slight overpower. If you are an APOC 4, you are going to use about 50% overpower to get over. If you are an extra mile 8, I believe it's about 50% overpower too, and that shot will be, I'll show you a little bit later in the video. But here I didn't adjust enough rings because I didn't put the 10% over adjustment in my app, so that's why I added curl. You do not need to add curl. And I did overpower slightly only because my wind was below 10 miles an hour. If it's above 10 miles an hour, do not use overpower. Now for the second shot, here is the cat, or you can use a big dog, and I did the curl shot and not the hook shot. For the curl shot, you're going to adjust with a 0% elevation at max distance, and then you're going to use full curl, and you're going to use I used maybe about 10-15% of overpower. You're really going to have to judge it for yourself on how much overpower you will need, and here you will have to try and hit perfect. Here's the extra mile 8 option. You're going to use 2 top spin, and you can use full right spin if you would like to. He doesn't, and that's okay. You're going to adjust with a 10% over adjustment, and then you're going to push up to max. Note his overpower, it's basically floating above the blue ring on the overpower bar. So you're going to have to use your judgment on your overpower to get over on this shot. Here I'm going to show you the kata hook. The kata hook with a kata 4 or 5 is going to be 18 rings. A kata, and I think a kata 6 as well. A kata 7 and 8, I believe, is 25 rings. So you want to adjust your shot with a 0% elevation at max distance, and then count your rings. Here she went 18 rings and then did a full hook. You want to make sure you use some backspin on the shot and full right spin, just so it stops your ball, hopefully near the hole. All these shots that I have shown you will be on the 19th hole expert tournament guide, and the link will be in the description below. So happy golfing, guys, and good luck this weekend. And remember, hit perfect.